It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech, episode 235. Coming up this week, Kevin Smith throws his weight around. Google buzzes the internet. And Macworld Expo. Is it all over? This Week in Tech is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by AOL Music and Spinner.com, where you can get free MP3s, exclusive interviews, and more. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 235 for February 15th, 2010. Light the dark fiber! This Week in Tech is brought to you by GoToMeeting, the affordable way to meet with clients and colleagues. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/twit. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free trial and 10% off your new account, go to squarespace.com/twit. And by Audible.com. To download 2 free audiobooks of your choice, go to audible.com/twit2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter at audible_com. It's time for TWiT This Week in Tech, the show that covers all the tech news every week with some of the best minds in the business. And then there's me. Joining us today, Mr. John C. Dvorak.
Hello.
From channeldvorak.com. Star of Cranky Geeks, No Agenda, and many other fine internet podcasts.
We do our best.
Used to be the world's most prolific computer columnist.
Now I have to do new media to make it.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, it is.
So, speaking of new media, look who's here. Sam Whitmore is here. I haven't seen Sam in an age.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
Sam and I worked at Tech TV, right? Or no, it was ZD we worked at. You were never at... Were you at Tech TV?
No. This was the site. This was 1997.
Oh, my God. MSNBC's the site.
That's right. And I have lots of reminiscences, but we won't bog the show down with them. But
I'm sure people would enjoy that.
Soledad O'Brien, Dev Null, all that stuff.
Oh, my God. So you were a ZD guy. I remember very well, Sam, sitting in an airplane with Sam. He said, "I'm so bored with this tech stuff. I'm going to go fly a plane."
I no longer fly, but I did get an instrument rating. I had 700 hours when I finally quit.
You burned out, and I can understand. I mean, this stuff, you have to be obsessive. It's night and day, an endless cycle, and if you're not just like crazy about it, I can see how it'd be easy to get burned out.
What I learned was I loved media.
Right.
I mean, and I still do. And in fact, I had to go start my own business in order to build exactly what where my passion was. But I still love tech, and you couldn't avoid tech today even if you wanted to, Leo. It's everywhere.
Well, especially in media.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I was interviewing the publisher of The Economist on Friday, and he was saying that he is a big fan of agile software development. In fact, his previous job was at IBM doing social media. So here's The Economist, probably the stodgiest title of all time, and the guy that publishes it is this agile software development freak who is trying all these new European rapid deployment app dev jobs. Huh. It's fascinating.
It's really quite amazing. And I tell you, you couldn't have picked a better time to say, I'm going to focus on media, because boy, has this stuff exploded.
One super quick anecdote before we get going. When I was doing on-air for the site in 97, I didn't have an idea. And I said, Leo, I've got to do with Soledad, I've got to do a segment. What should I do? And you said, well, there's this audio format called MP3, and I think it's going to be big. Yeah. And so what I did was a Pepsi challenge sort of thing. I took a CD of B-52s, and I said to Soledad, okay, I'm going to play 15 seconds of Love Shack. I'm going to play another 15 seconds of Love Shack, and you have to determine which one is the is the digital copy and which one is the original CD. And I took a chance that she couldn't tell. And of course, on camera, she couldn't tell, so it was perfect. So I give you this public thank you, Leo, for that.
I invented that. MP3s, that was my idea. No, I remember the way I found out about it was a kid, 15-year-old kid named Glenn, or maybe he was 16, Glenn Rubenstein, who I had known for years. He was one of those little kid bloggers who did a gaming blog, who went to college, and he told me, he said, Leo, everybody is they're taking their CDs, they're making MP3s out of them, they're putting them on central hard drives available on the college network, and that's what we listen to for music nowadays. And I thought, well, that's an interesting transformation of the business, isn't it? Yeah, it was completely changed how music was performed and bought and sold. Also here with us, thank you. It's good to have you, Sam. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Also here with us today is Nicole Lee from CNET. She does the Dialed In podcast for CNET. She's their expert on cell phones. It's good to see you, Nicole.
Good to see you.
She came up just for Valentine's Day with her hubby, and I enlisted her.
Yeah, I brought you some Chinese New Year.
Yeah, that's right.
cookies.
Gong Hei Fat Choi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Chinese.
Hey,
You're the tiger, Johnny.
you didn't say it right.
Wait a minute. How do you say it? Gung Ho Fat Choi, says Johnny.
Gung ho.
Gung ho.
They did no agenda this morning. Why? Tell me why you butchered it.
Well, because I believed we were working on the title for the show, and Adam had the right spelling, which is unpronounceable to me. I said, no, everybody says gung ho fat choi, and of course I changed it so it now reads gung ho fat choi.
Oh yeah, so it's almost an epithet.
Yeah, gung ho fat choi. But for SEO love, just specifically for software engine optimization purposes. It's the only reason you do things nowadays.
Nowadays, it's all link bait to everybody. Isn't that true?
Just wasting your time.
So, the big story of the week: Apple, Macworld Expo, all the big announcements, huge. What are you laughing at, Nicole?
There was one big announcement.
It took me half an hour to see everything at Macworld Expo.
That long?
I mean, Apple leaves. Last year was Apple's last year at Macworld Expo. Did you go, John? You were there. I saw you there.
You bumped into me.
I bumped into you there.
Staggered
What'd
into
you think?
In fact, you gave me 2 shots of the ribs. You almost broke a rib, yeah.
I elbowed you? Like I checked you?
Yeah, when you were just roaming around the place like you owned the place, and you gave me a rib shot because you were trying to move me aside.
Out of the way!
And then I said,
it's
hey,
John.
Leo.
I thought you were just one of the little people.
So,
yeah, it was pretty small.
And it
wasn't that small.
It was hurt by, it was very small. It was half the size of normal.
In comparison, yeah.
And, I mean, the whole South Hall was closed off. It was just in the North Hall. That's where the Apple booth would have been.
But there were a lot of people, though.
There were a lot of people. In fact, I talked to Paul Kent, and he said attendance on the first day was just a few hundred below the first day last year. So that's good news.
That's good.
However, I think part of it was in the shadow of the iPad because you can't say anything because we don't know anything about it. But that's clearly, I mean, Apple had nothing to talk about.
There was a whole whole segment where they were doing a big speech, in room 132, wherever it was.
Macworld, Jason Snell at Macworld did a thing.
And it was like they just had a styrofoam mock-up.
They don't even have. There's nothing to talk
like a
about.
joke.
It's pathetic.
Styrofoam iPad.
In fact, it was to the point where I had some people saying, does Apple hate IDG? Does Apple hate Macworld Expo? Are they actually intelligent?
It was costing some millions and millions of dollars to go to that.
I don't think Apple cares about Macworld Expo. I think they're a consumer company now.
Well,
they don't need the enthusiasts.
My point was that they were... they've got an Expo 24/7 at all these stores.
Right.
The New York place
all the stores, it's free,
is essentially a Macworld Expo. So it's just I don't see the point of this. And by the way, will be the last one, I'm sure of it, because when they stopped going to the Boston show, boom, Boston was dead after one extra show.
What do you think,
a friend
Leo?
went
Is this the last one?
I don't know, but I hope not. The friend went to the Apple store in San Francisco, just a few blocks away, and there was no signage, there was no welcome, there was no nothing, and there weren't a lot of people even from Macworld Expo. The manager, the general manager of the store said, "No, we've seen zero bump in traffic this week."
Wow,
it's not, but that doesn't mean it's bad for Apple, does it? I mean, hasn't Apple transcended
no, I think Apple's
this?
fine. I don't
Apple's
think it's
fine,
got anything to do with that.
They've transcended
it's bad for the show, and
Bad
some
for
of
the
these
show.
shows are dead anyway. And if we're all going to get H1N1 and drop dead in the streets, you don't want to get crowds. That's the problem.
Sam, is it over for trade shows?
Yes. It is. Well, especially for Apple being so vertically integrated. I mean, normally a vendor would want application development to be done for their platform. That's why CA has its show, Oracle, and also they have big distribution networks, these big vendor-specific shows. But Apple is its own distribution. It goes direct to customer. It doesn't really have middlemen, and also it now controls app development directly. So there's really no need. It is a consumer company. It's really there's no need to cultivate relationships. It's just not an ecosystem like it was under what's his name there, Emilio.
Gil
when he had
Emilio.
clones, when he had clones, and they had 3 or 4 different kinds of word processors, 3 or 4 different kinds of spreadsheets. It's all a closed shop now.
Yeah, Apple has a developers conference. They can get people to WWDC in June. It's the only conference Apple does. I think my position is Apple's become a consumer electronics, just as you said, a consumer electronics company. So the geeks who go to Macworld, the 30,000 of them, are really the enthusiasts, the cult of Mac people, and Apple no longer needs those
also
people.
The other thing is, what Mac was there? I mean, this was about
nothing.
iPhones,
Yeah, it was
all iPhones.
It has been for a long time the
iPhone.
iPhone accessories show.
For sure. There was
Last
a whole
year-
mini... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to say last
John,
year was
it's Sam.
MacBook Air.
Right.
Last year was MacBook Air. That was the
Yeah.
showcase, but we've moved on from that.
And because there was no Apple and no iPad there,
Yeah.
the vendors are kind of hung
There was a
high and
whole
dry.
little section called was it the tiny town, the mobile app town.
Right.
And that was very busy, actually, all the little mobile applications.
The problem is you make so little. Most of you make so little money on a iPhone
an
app that you really can't justify a booth.
Yeah, I know.
In fact, I can't tell you how many people.
The flashlight guys were there. Maybe they could all get
We need a
together and
booth.
do one booth.
We should have a
guys.
fart booth. Just all the fart apps could have their own booth, and maybe we could put that somewhere else, like
a
outside.
different country.
Yeah.
Now, Leo, I saw you. You had a session at a Macworld. You were doing some presentations. I think not maybe this year, but
We've done
years
it in the past. We've done many presentations. This year I did one event, which was the Macworld Live, and it was really like a talk show. We had Roger McGuinn of the Birds, your friend John. I was hoping you'd be there, actually.
I was there.
Oh, did you come by? I wanted to introduce you. Like, do the the Ed Sullivan thing. And our audience today, and you'd stand up. And
No, the place was packed. I couldn't get in.
it actually was a sellout.
Yeah.
Roger McGuinn, Adam Savage of the Mythbusters, Heather Gold, my friend who's a comic, and the rock band Warp 11. It was just like a talk show. It was fun.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with Apple or Macs. In fact, I wore a black tie that had a Tux the Penguin at the bottom of it. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, wardrobe malfunction." And then I said, "It could have been worse." And I pulled out a T-shirt that said, "I'm a PC." That was my monologue.
That was your bit.
That was my
That was your bit.
No, there was
And
another.
Now I'm glad I didn't get in.
You didn't miss a whole lot. I said, I feel uncomfortable up here. Wait a minute, something's missing. And the IATSE stagehands, because it's a union shop, brought my little rubber ball that I sit on. They brought that.
Oh.
That got a good laugh. And then I rolled it down the thing, and the guy took it. And he can't and because I said I was joking. I said I'll give it away. And then he came up to me and said, "Would you sign your ball?" He had deflated
He
it.
said, "Oh."
And I said,
He actually
and
thought
I
he
felt
said something else.
I
Never
felt
mind.
so bad. I felt so bad. I said, "Can I have it back? Because I don't have another one, and I kind of need it tomorrow." And the guy, his face fell. I felt so terrible. He said, "Okay," but I've DM'd him on Twitter, and I said, as soon as I get another ball, I'm deflating this. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to send it to you. So just give me your address. You can have this ball. I just needed it for today.
So you took the guy's balls away.
No, just one. He only had one. It was blue.
Oh, God.
With the last ball burst, right?
Everyone saw that.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah, that
you were
was-
famous on the internet for about a week.
It was my meme.
It was a viral video.
I got to be a keyboard cat for a bit.
It almost looked as though you hurt yourself.
No, but it could. You could, because when they burst, it's kind of scary. I've had it happen twice.
Yeah.
It's like suddenly nothing's there. It's like when somebody pulls the chair out, you're literally just in the air and then you're on the ground. There's no slow deflate. It goes, "Phoom," and you're on the
Well,
ground.
it kind of went down for a little bit, for about
It
1
did.
second.
Oh,
and then,
And then it went.
And then it went. So you know what we did? In fact, we have them in the other room. We cut the ball up into about 100 pieces, and I can send anybody who wants a autographed piece of my ball. What are you guys laughing at?
Hey, listen, I'll tell you, go to the chat room right now. It's full of LOLs. There must be about 100 LOLs.
They
in ours.
all love the ball.
Yeah, they do.
It's the.
They took my ball
I can't
away.
tell you how much mileage I get out of that. It's ridiculous. All right, let's face it. This big story of the week was not Macworld Expo. It wasn't even
No.
close. We're going to talk about, actually, it was all Google all week. I mean, this was the week of Google, and we're going to talk about some of those big stories in just a bit. But let's take a little break here and say hello to our friends from Citrix. Say hello to my little friend. Go to meeting. Folks, if you have ever had a conference call drag on and on, kind of like this show,
Hey.
you're playing Tetris,
Hey.
you're playing solitaire, you're losing the audience. Let me tell you what GoToMeeting can do for you. It makes those boring old conference calls something visual, something that works. You could show the PowerPoint. You can collaborate on documents together. You could do the training. You know, you don't have to. I'll give you an example for training. You set up a meeting. You go. In fact, you can do it right now for free for 30 days. Unlimited meetings. GoToMeeting.com/twit. You set it up. It takes about a minute. Before I'm done talking, you'll have it installed. It's very quick. Now, the next time you want to work with somebody, let's say you want to do some training. You've got the program on your system. They don't need it on their system. You just say, go to GoToMeeting.com. Go to this website. Click Join a Meeting. You give them the meeting ID. Now, suddenly, they're seeing your computer. You say, okay, now you're in. I'll show you how to use it. Blah, 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 blah. Now, you try it. You give them control, and it's as if they're using your computer. It's so easy. They can take control and show you their computer. You can collaborate on documents together. This is remote access done right specifically for meetings. Unlimited meetings. You never watch the clock. You never count the meetings for $49 a month. That includes phone and voice over IP conferencing. It is such a deal, and more businesses are using it. We use it all the time, not just for meetings, but for shows. It's a great way to show screens, for instance, on our video podcasts. Give it a try free. Go to meeting.com/twit. 30 days, unlimited use. I think you're going to like it. Show the boss. I think he'll like it, or she will like it as well. Go to meeting.com/twit. Before we talk about Google, somebody in the friend feed room is saying, and I think it's a good point, that we should talk about Kevin Smith. You know what happened with Kevin Smith?
What happened?
The fat guy.
The fat guy.
Yeah, he was refused a seat on a Southwest Airlines flight. He doesn't look that fat to me.
Because he was fat? Or
Yeah. So here's the weird thing. So Kevin Smith, who is the director, he, of course, he did Clerks and, Silent Bob and Jay. And
What's he doing in Oakland is the bigger question.
No, he came up
He
for
was from Macworld.
Macworld. He gave a session at Macworld,
okay.
and I saw him at Macworld, and he's a big guy.
he's not like
He's not.
that.
He's
I've seen bigger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
On planes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he flew up on Southwest. Done with his thing yesterday. Wants to fly back on Southwest. Gets on the plane, and he tweeted the whole thing. By the way, if you go to twitter.com/
they're embarrassed. They gave him $100 this.
Yeah, they gave him $100. That Kevin, I think they're going to give him more than that.
Oh, because he twittered about it.
Oh my God!
Okay.
Did he Twitter about it? So I like 100 tweets about it. He said, "I just got thrown off the airplane because the pilot said I'm a hazard because I'm so fat."
But the
Oh
plane
my
wasn't
God,
even
really?
full. That's the worst part.
What?
He'd already put down the armrest, so he wasn't overflowing.
Maybe the pilot just didn't like his movies.
Yeah,
well, that's
maybe.
what Kevin's point is. Look, I flew up. They didn't throw me off. They threw me off this plane, and I got on the next flight, Southwest, and went home. So we don't know what really happened, and it could be that he was acting, badly in other ways. It could be that they said,
Could be.
We don't know, but we do know it from the tweets. And the point is not so much whether what they did was wrong or not, but the point is that he tweeted. Boy, did he tweet! And
He should tweet.
Yeah,
Now, listen, as a former pilot, there's this thing called weight and balance. And you do want to balance the load. So, for example, if he was sitting in the front where a lot of the luggage is located, maybe they could have...
737, for God's sake.
I mean, how much heavier? You could be 100 pounds
The
more
plane
than a
wasn't
normal
full.
person, right?
Like, it's not.
But couldn't they have? I've had that. I've gotten on a commuter jet where they said, "Okay, we got to
Yeah, they
rebalance.
move you around.
Could you
They
move
move
back?"
you around,
and they
yeah.
look at me and they go, "You sir, could you sit in the way back?" So I'm used to this.
Yeah.
He's pretty heavy. He said I did not need a seatbelt extension, so he can't be
That
It can be that big.
They offered him a $100 credit, but I think really what it was, they didn't realize he was that Kevin Smith. And look at the power of Twitter. In fact, ABC News called him and said, "We'd like to do a story on this."
He has like one.
He declined. He said, "You know what? I've done it on my podcast."
Yeah.
He does a podcast called Smodcast, and he said, "I'm going to do a Swadcast for Southwest tonight. It will go up tonight, Sunday night." And in fact, it should be up right about now. And he said, that's all I have to say about it. But boy, let me tell you, Southwest is jumping around trying to make this guy happy.
Yeah, they should be. And by the way, anybody in the chat rooms, the official Southwest blog is called Nuts About Southwest. And that's a good place to express your concern, because they do invest a lot in that resource, Southwest does.
Well, it is interesting. It just shows you how, by the way, it's down. Nuts About Southwest. It's had so much server traffic. I don't know if it's being DDoSed, but it's been down all afternoon. But they did do an apology, apparently. Nobody can tell because I can't see it, but apparently they did do an apology on the blog.
What a nightmare.
It's a PR nightmare. And, I guess the point I'm making is not that Kevin Smith was right or Southwest was wrong, but the power of social media to really cause a problem for a company. He's got 1.6 million followers.
Yeah.
He's carrying a big stick.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But in a way, couldn't that turn somebody into a bully?
It
It could be a
totally
huge problem for companies because
Imagine
Absolutely
Calacanis
could.
getting a hold of that many people.
I think he has almost that many people, doesn't he?
Not that many.
Not that many.
No
He
way.
was never listed as you just sign up for
Oh,
this
you have to
guy.
be the SUL.
Suggested user list.
So, but I mean, it's very interesting how much power that confers on somebody. And if somebody wanted to be a bully, and just and you could even blackmail companies. You could say, "Hey, I want a better seat," or "I'm going to tweet it."
But you still need an injustice done to you, and it also has to be an experience that many people themselves have gone through. Like everybody flies, so you can relate to that. Like, how would you feel if you were kicked off the plane? Here, take your bags and get the hell out.
I got an email from an airline pilot. He's a 767, 757, and 727 pilot. I'll just call him Captain Paul. He said, I'm very disappointed in your encouraging tone concerning the Kevin Smith Southwest Airlines incident. By law, the captain is responsible for the safety of his or her passengers, crew, and airplane. If he or she feels for a millisecond that safety is compromised, he or she must take action. Leo, it's the law. My sources inside Southwest, and this is maybe the story here, tell me that Mr. Smith was acting irrationally and was possibly impaired by alcohol, which would explain why he was allowed to take a later flight. I wasn't there, so I won't speculate that this was the primary reason he was asked to leave. The bottom line is that this captain was acting well within his authority to remove Mr. Smith. The fact that Mr. Smith decided to out the captain's name in his tweets, which he did, he mentioned the name, we won't, further degrades the safety of not just his flight, but all flights. The captain was doing his job, and now his name has been outed to millions via Twitter and the mainstream media, and maybe he's going to be, and other captains will be a little less likely, I'm adding this part, this editorial here, to call people on safety violations, especially if they have 1.6 million Twitter followers.
Well, first they should, when you check in, they have to ask you
How many
many
followers?
Twitters you have. Followers. And
Yes,
if
that's
you're
right.
over 1 million, then they say, okay, you put them in the front.
He says, and I can't say I disagree, the sad fact is our society places such a high value on celebrities, which in turn gives them untold wealth and power. As this incident illustrates, when power is abused, as it clearly was in this case, everybody loses.
I think they should have waterboarded him.
Well, but it does raise the issue of how much power and can a celebrity become a bully, especially with this go directly to the audience. But you make a good point, Sam. There has to be something that resonates.
Yeah, I think that was the element here that people could relate to being humiliated. It's humiliating enough to fly Southwest many times.
That's true.
That's the real
Right?
story.
It's
here,
the cattle
maybe.
car airline. I don't fly it anymore.
I happen to like it, but I live in Oakland. It's a good hub for me.
It's a great airport to fly out of.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. But
it's easy.
there's no legroom in those planes, and it's not hub and spoke. It's point to
Right.
point. So it's a bus line.
It gives a whole new meaning to the phrase. Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am?
People often say you could get better treatment, Leah, with tech companies if you would say that. But I hate doing that. Do you ever do that, John? You go,
God, no.
no. Only people. I don't know.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
And you'd rather let the situation get out of control anyway because it gives you something to write
My
about.
point exactly. I want them to mistreat me.
believe how these-
Please mistreat me so
What
I can tweet
idiots.
about it.
Unbelievable.
They're morons.
Yeah, you can't get any material if you push yourself.
So the big story, really big story of the week, and I apologize for pausing moments with some other stories, but this is really a huge story. Google on Thursday, without warning, without any notice, did something that could really rock the social media world. They announced and released at the same time something called Google Buzz. If you went to your Gmail account, you may still want to go to your Gmail account if you haven't seen it yet. You'll get a big screen that says, hey, we got something new called Buzz. You want to participate? And if you say yes, and it's actually interesting. Google's already changed what happens if you say yes. In the first few days, if you said yes, Google would set it up, and they would look in your Gmail. They would look at your Google profile if you had one. They would build a social graph, a list of all the people you knew and followed and so forth. Pick the ones you were most likely to want to follow on a Twitter-like service and automatically subscribe. But even worse, automatically subscribe you. So I was subscribed immediately to, I think, 41 people from which is, by the way, a small part of my big social graph. So I don't know how they ranked it. But this is the worst part. At that point, anybody can go to your Buzz profile and see who you're following. So they get the full email address. They get the Gmail address.
That would have been a good time to score some interesting networks.
It immediately publishes in effect people's email addresses without their permission.
All right.
And that was the big faux pas. That was the big privacy.
I like it.
There were blog posts. There was a blog post from a woman who had been stalked, victimized, I believe raped, and she said, "I don't. Look, I'm at risk here. Google put my life in danger."
They did fix it, Leo.
That's the second half of the story is they responded very quickly.
Thinking.
Well, you know what? We talked to we had Yuri Engstrom and Kevin Marks, both former Googlers. Yuri had worked on he invented Jaiku, and so he'd worked kind of on a predicate.
Oh, so Google bought Jaiku.
Jaiku, and he says it wasn't the Jaiku code, but it's very similar to Jaiku, which was a Twitter with threaded conversations and location and so on. And so he'd been using it for a year. And he said, the problem is we'd been using it for a year within Google. Nobody at Google had this problem, and everybody knows everybody's address, so nobody even thought of it.
Interesting.
And so
we happy family over there at Google.
We just put it out, and it immediately was obvious there was a problem. And to their credit, within a day, Google fixed it. Now, when you join Buzz, it's safe to do so because you'll see an opt-in list of the people, and there's checkboxes, and there's very clear instructions on how to hide that information.
Well, does anybody think this is going to go anywhere?
Buzz?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at it.
Jason, your favorite, Jason Calacanis said immediately, on this day, Facebook lost 1/2 of its book value. He thinks it's that important. No?
That's Jason being P.T. Barnum. That's what he does. And he got a lot of traffic, but I think he looks really foolish right now. There's no way that that they could ever do that much damage to Facebook. Have you been on there, Leo? I mean, have you? Oh,
I use it. By the way, this just in, Kevin Smith is watching. I'm sorry, Kevin, because he has tweeted. Let me pull this up. Ha, 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 ha. Some pilot on TWiT Live wrote in with insider info inferring I might have been drunk. That's really, really funny.
Yeah, apparently someone in the chat room said that he doesn't drink.
Oh, well, there you go. So that is BS. That is bogus.
So the pilot is a stooge for Southwest.
Well, I don't know about that either.
That's what it sounds like. Let's
just say that I apologize, Kevin. I just read that email, and I didn't know what the situation was, and I take it back. And we don't, as I said at the very beginning,
so he has
we don't know what happened.
He has a crawler out there looking for anyone mentioning his name.
Probably he's not. I would guess that Kevin's not listening. But
people.
Kevin, if you're listening, I'm following you. You can DM me with your Skype handle, and we'll get you on the show. But I know that Smodcast has already covered it. So
that'd be good.
Kevin's a guy. Look, I love Silent Bob. I love Kevin, and geeks love Kevin, and I think they're very well disposed towards him. And I think that's one of the reasons the Twitter sphere picked this sucker up.
Well, I think that he's not that fat.
And he's not that fat.
That's the main thing.
You know, one time I was at the Alaskan Airlines counter. I swear to God, it was the weirdest thing because this woman was actually trying to get a special seating for herself. I shouldn't even tell this story because it's...
Well, we're all, all of us geeks are a little...
No, we're talking about like somebody who, I swear to God, from the shoulders up at the counter, looked absolutely like, maybe almost like a model. Thin... And then she had just a weird body, and so she was below the waist.
Little calipigis.
It was unbelievable.
Stay out of pidges. I've worked with that woman, actually. I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, so let's move on real quickly because it's only getting worse. Kevin, if you would like to call, we would love to have you on. I know you're going to talk about it on Smodcast if people can get the real story there, at least from Kevin. And Southwest did apologize, but apparently their site is down.
That's
I wonder why.
I think they made some enemies in the geekosphere.
business.
They totally did.
I like Buzz. I think Buzz. I'm not going to maybe go as far as Jason did to say that Buzz is a Facebook killer or a Twitter killer, but what I do think really is true, and this is especially true if you look at the APIs and what is apparently Google's intent, is that this solves a problem I've had all along with Twitter and Facebook, which is that there are information silos. You go to Twitter. We're all pumping huge amounts of value into Twitter, but that information Twitter holds on to. In fact, they don't. You have to apply to them to get what we call the fire hose, the tweets, and they only award it to some people. They're very careful about who can get it. Through the API, you're limited to only a certain number of calls an hour, so you can't see all of the content in there. They're really holding on to it.
Why?
Because that's the value in Twitter, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the value.
The access was the value.
Well, how do you monetize Twitter? Somehow it has to do with the content that we're pouring into it is somehow in there in that equation. In any event, I don't know why I've asked them that question directly and been told a variety of different things, including no, we're going to open it up, and that was over a year ago. So what Google has done essentially is said, no, look, there's open standards here. We're going to create an open platform. We're going to encourage Facebook and Twitter and others to play to pump their data into us, to let our data pump into them, and then it won't matter. You can go anywhere you want as a user. You can participate in any social network you want.
Does anybody but me think that that Google maybe seriously considered buying Twitter, and then Twitter wanted too much money, and so it's like Google originally wanted to buy Friendster, and they wouldn't sell it, and so they started
have Orkut. Yeah.
Well, no, they started because they couldn't get Friendster, so they did a make-buy decision. They said, well, hell, we'll just do it ourselves. They created their own system, and now I think they're doing the same thing here to try to screw Twitter. Is that possible? Am I wrong?
I don't know that they're that worried about Twitter. Twitter hasn't made a dime yet.
No, but they wanted it. It's something that Google could monetize because they could see the direction of tweets. They could do a large analysis of huge numbers of people for marketing purposes. There's a lot of possibilities there.
I don't know. I just feel like Google Buzz, as it stands right now, it's so new, it's so nascent. There's so many problems with it personally that the comments, for one thing, they're not collapsible. So you keep on seeing this like really long comment thread. You can't collapse.
If you follow somebody like me or Jason or Robert Scoble, we take over your inbox because every time a comment's posted on one of our posts, and of course ours get hundreds of comments, they float back to the top.
To the top, you keep on seeing the same buzz post over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this stream, and I'm dominating it. Justine
Somebody in the
Zarek.
chat room says that Buzz will be big in Brazil.
as Orkut is, right? As Orkut is.
I read somewhere that if you press the M key, M as in Mike, you can mute a particular dialogue. So if a Scoble is
right,
that's a relief valve.
It's hard to unmute it though. That's one issue, which is you can mute it. In fact, there's even a drop down that says mute this post. Or
I would just prefer
M.
having like a little plus minus thing to collapse the comments.
Just avoiding the whole.
I think they're gonna have all of that, and I think this is the key. If Google does commit to it and put as much energy into it, see, it could be a Jaiku or an Akut, or we could think Dodgeball. We could think of hundreds of Google projects where they created it or bought it and just let it go die.
Well, this is my
but
problem.
if they don't do that, if they put resources behind it, they've already responded immediately in this privacy thing. If they respond that quickly to users,
right?
And let's see if in the next week they put collapsible threads, because I think it is the number one thing.
They released it as a gold product. Google released something as a gold product.
They shouldn't have done that. It's a beta.
I mean, Gmail was beta for years. Yeah. Google was beta for years. And why was this not a beta? Why was this like just gold?
Oh, there's some nice
features
though. I mean, for instance, on your iPhone or my Nexus One Google phone, it does automatic. It's got Foursquare style locationing. The threaded comments I love so much more than Twitter's broadcast model. There's real conversation going on here. I just, on the other hand...
how much conversation does a person need in their life on a day-to-day basis?
And to amplify that point, John, do we really need another place to check out?
Another social...
I don't.
That was the first reaction. A friend of mine, I told her about it. She said, one more spot to do? I don't have room for
Facebook, that. There's Twitter, there's, MySpace.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that they are bolting this, I don't think we've made this clear yet, is they're bolting it onto Gmail. It's not a destination unto itself.
Yeah,
and yes, Gmail has 30 million users, but let's face it, we all know people that don't even use email. They text, especially younger people. And so I think they're making a big mistake to tether it too tightly to Gmail, because they may be missing a large swath of people that might enjoy what they do.
You can, if you're a Gmail user and you hate Buzz, of course, you could say no up front, or go down to the very bottom of the page and there's a little tiny turn off Buzz thing. You can control privacy a little bit. It does encourage you very strongly to create a Google profile, because that's where it gets a social graph
That's the
from.
thing. If you don't create a Google profile, people can't. You can't block. You can't block people.
Right. You have to.
You
really
have to create
a
a profile to block people, which is like.
So I guess some of the pushback on this is that Google's pushing us to do it their way.
Yeah, I'm not joining.
I like it.
You know
you
what
like
else?
everything. I mean, let's face reality.
I like it. I love it. I love the conversation.
Leo, doesn't it? It looks like Unix. It's alphanumeric. I mean, part of the elegance of Facebook is how it looks, the fonts, the shadings, and it's much more visual, and it's prettier. And also, it's a huge application platform, right? There's all those cool applications. And
Well, that could be a problem as well as a plus. I mean, you know, the applications could take over Facebook as well. I mean, it becomes the Farmville game.
Well, it hasn't slowed them down. And then the other thing that Facebook hasn't really played out yet is the friend feed guys, right, that they bought. They haven't really delivered the value yet. They're still in the labs, unless I'm mistaken. Have they really, in your view? I mean, they were bought in last summer, I think, July or August. And they've had 6 to 8 months, and they haven't really iterated Facebook with all that many-to-many capability that Friend Feed has.
No, and I deeply love Friend Feed, and one of the reasons I'm attracted to Buzz is it looks like they were very influenced by Friend Feed. And so while I'm afraid that Friend Feed, I mean, it's the kind of redheaded stepchild now at Facebook, is not going to be long for this world. At least there's this Buzz thing, which clearly is influenced by it. I'll be honest. I think Facebook is as bad as AOL. Facebook is the AOL of this decade. It's a silo. It's got huge privacy issues. Every time you play a game or answer a quiz, marketers are collecting not only information about you, but your entire social graph.
I have no problem with Facebook. I'm not a member.
Well, that's
why you don't have a problem.
There's somebody that has a Dvorak page on Facebook, maybe two, that actually looks like it's something I might have done.
Well, there's another problem.
Very accurate. Yeah, well, that's another thing. But it's not bothering me because it seems to be a fan or something.
You know what, Leo? Go ahead, Nicole.
Well, I have to say that the only way Facebook was actually usable for me was I went into my privacy settings and I just tweaked it and I micromanaged it until I could separate my friends from my coworkers. I had to go in there and micromanage my privacy settings, and that was the only way it was palatable for me.
I'm in Facebook. I'm big time. I have many Facebook pages, and I use it, and it's a promotional vehicle as well as a personal vehicle. It's how I stay in touch with old girlfriends. But I don't think that... that's where the 5,000 limit really becomes a problem.
No, you have 5,000 girlfriends, ex-girlfriends?
No,
it's more like 6,500.
Yeah. It's and I'll tell you, those last 1,500 are just bitter. It's just bitter about it. It's like, I'm sorry.
What else are people saying in chat about Buzz? Certainly, other people have played.
It's a very polarizing technology. There are people who love it. Mostly, it's those social media mavens like Calacanis and Scoble who see another platform, or me. And then there's a lot of people who say exactly what we've all been saying, which is we don't need another one. It's not very attractive. We talked about it on This Week in Google, and Kevin Marks, one of the things he said it needs, and I agree with him, is faces. You get it on the posts. You get the faces of the person who made the post, but not of the commenters, and that's a huge.
Oh. Well, that's one of the things that the reason Orkut I think took off in Brazil, which is the most social of all cultures that I've ever visited, and because it's all photos.
Right. You want to see the person who's talking.
Lots of photos, and so it's like
very visual.
You go through and you see somebody else's friends, and you go, "Wow, who's that?"
Right.
It's actually quite entertaining.
Right. I think we humans like this kind of thing, don't we?
Yeah,
we like photos.
We like photos.
Photos are easy. Our monkey minds can grasp it. We can we can sort them.
Speaking of of Facebook, did you read this Read Write Web story about the Facebook
Let's talk
login?
about that in a second.
Okay.
I think that was a huge
yeah.
story and very, very interesting. And I want you to explain it to me because I've been watching. By the way, this is why I like stuff like Buzz. It's why I like Twitter too, but I think Buzz is going to be more useful this way. Is it surfaces what's going on? I feel like I stay connected by virtue of watching Twitter or watching Buzz and watching the conversation. I can see what people. I found out about Kevin Smith that way. I find out what is the topic of discussion. It's the internet's water cooler, and I like these kinds of platforms. However, we are going to talk in a little bit about the Facebook Read Write Web story. I think a very interesting story. Before we do that, though, I want to mention our friends at Squarespace.com. This is a great engine, I would say, is probably the best word. It's web hosting, yes. It's hosting, but it's also software, and that's the key on Squarespace. It does both. Very affordable. Starts at $8 a month. But what do you get? You get an amazing platform behind what you're doing with things like an iPhone app that's just to die for. It's beautiful. Best way to blog. The ability to import and export content from WordPress, Typepad, Blogger. So you're not trapped, but it's easy to get your blog moved in and moved out if you want. Some amazing statistics. People love the templates. It comes with, I don't know, something like 15, 20 templates to start, but then they're so customizable that really every page looks unique. In fact, you can find out by going to squarespace.com and clicking the examples link. You'll see these squares. You know when you go to a WordPress blog, you know it's a WordPress blog. When you go to Drupal, you know it's Drupal. They just look like Drupal or WordPress. I guarantee you would not know if you go to, say, MatthewAndersonPhoto.com and take a look at it. Let me just load it up here. This is a Squarespace blog. Great directories. Great. Photographers love Squarespace. And because Squarespace is using a very sophisticated form of virtual server technology based on Java, you never run out of bandwidth. Every Squarespace site pops up, is instantly usable. You could be dug and slash dotted and twitted all at the same time, and you still can handle the traffic. They just turn on more bandwidth automatically. Beautiful, beautiful websites, easy to run. You could focus on the content and let Squarespace do the engineering. Try it right now. You can go to squarespace.com/twit and try it for free. You don't even need a credit card. Just play with it. Just play with it. And then if you decide to sign up, 10% off if you use the coupon code TWIT. Social integration, form building and data collection. The best way to post, web or phone. Squarespace.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support. We're actually talking to them. They moved into beautiful new offices in Manhattan, and I'm thinking we might want to use their old offices for a TWiT East Coast studio.
Oh, you're expanding
Whoa, East Coast studio.
East Coast.
You know why?
You got a bedroom in there? Someplace you can splash?
Yeah. Well, no, I can afford a hotel now.
No, I'm saying for guests.
Oh, you want to go? Well, here's the deal. Okay,
Stop
you
in
tell
New
me.
York.
You tell me. So we were thinking. I was
in
thinking.
New York, is
I was
anybody
thinking.
using the suite?
You could make some
It'd be
money
like
that
we
way.
could call it the TWiT Club,
Yeah, you can do
Yeah.
that.
like the Yale Club or Harvard Club, the TWiT Club
Sure.
for TWiT alumni only.
Right, you can go and spend the night or a couple of days there instead of having to spend the night in an expensive hotel.
Okay.
And boom, you're done.
Okay. That's kind of what it is here. You know, we have a shower and a
Yeah, you
clawfoot
got a whole
tub.
thing
We got
up
a whole
there.
suite upstairs.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
As long as somebody doesn't hog it, you just make a rule. You can only spend 2 nights,
I can't imagine who would hog
2
it.
or 3 nights.
Who would that be that might hog it? So the idea is
Stretch the budget, man.
the idea is John's been living there for 6 months. Can we get him out? The idea is we want to do a morning show. There's no
The
geek.
zoo?
Yeah, but a new.
Hey, I gotta tell you,
You want to be on it? You can be on it.
zoo. Yeah,
But it's a zoo for new media. It's a zoo for social media types and geeks and stuff like that. Because we are now on all these mobile platforms. You can now go to on your iPhone, go to live.twit.tv in Safari, and you can start watching live.
Sure.
It looks great. It works beautifully
On the iPhone?
On the iPhone. We're working on other phones. iPhone handles it
Does
right
the
for some reason.
Android
Android
work?
doesn't do it. We're going to get that working.
So we're talking about.
So the idea is you wake up. Okay, you're in bed. You're a geek. Instead of the radio,
You get up, what, at
or the Today
noon?
Show.
You get up at noon.
Well, I'll explain why we're on the East Coast. So you set the alarm. You wake up. You're listening or watching because we do both. You get in the shower. You get out of the shower. You have breakfast. You're still watching. You get in the subway. You get in the car. You still can listen and watch because we're portable. You get to the office, you turn it on, you can watch a morning show, and the idea would be it's going to be the stuff that you care about. It's going to be the stuff you're into. But the reason we have to do it on the East Coast is because if we wanted to start at 6 a.m. and we wanted to air it nationally, we'd have to start at 3 a.m. here. So we thought we'd have to be on the East Coast to do that. What do you think?
Track down David
fantastic
Lawrence.
idea.
David Lawrence would be good.
Do it.
Track
You know
down
what?
David
You know what the
Lawrence. He
scares?
did it at CNET Radio.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't go so well, but that's another matter.
That's why you should track him down.
Maybe I should ask him what he did wrong.
Look, I'm watching you on the iPhone as we speak.
Yeah, isn't that cool? That's streaming, HTTP streaming. That's not Flash. Now, I think it was so good we should hear it twice, don't you? Such a good bit. Turn it sideways, you'll get the full experience.
There you are.
Yeah,
Let's
pretty
talk
cool.
about Read Write Web.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
thank you. Now, Sam Whitmore has become the John C. Dvorak of TWiT. John's finally gone off the deep end. So, what happened, Nicole, with Read Write Web?
I'm distracted. Okay, well, what apparently happened is that Facebook users are Googling for Facebook login, the phrase Facebook login, because how is it going to log into Facebook? Clicking the first result, which is...
First of all, this is the problem with people.
In
that
general.
they Google Facebook login.
Google Facebook login.
Like, what the hell? You go to Facebook, dude. What are you talking about? Okay.
That's not...
Anyway.
Go ahead.
So, well... A little pre-story was that apparently Facebook redesigned their login page.
Oh, they couldn't find the login.
They couldn't find the login. Anyway, so they Googled Facebook login.
This is because of the redesign. I get it.
Anyway, they clicked the first result, which was a story on Read Write Web about Facebook login, assuming that the site itself is Facebook. Scrolling to the bottom to get the comments form, still thinking they're on Facebook, and then using the comment form to complain about how this Facebook looks awful. Looks horrible.
So Read Write Web had to put up an announcement on their page that they said, "Dear visitors from Google, this site is not Facebook. This is a website called Read Write Web that reports on news about Facebook. You moron."
That's your Facebook users.
And you can however click here.
You're right, but
that
AOL.
That says
I
it
should
all.
call my mom. Just see. Hey, Mom. Do you know the difference between Read Write Web and Facebook?
Oh, Leo, that John's a good guy.
She loves you. She would love it if I would
say hi to him.
She didn't ever get to say hi. I talked to her this morning. I wished her happy Valentine's Day. She said, "How is John?"
You got a great mom.
God.
I love my mom. She is fantastic. So is this just stupidity? Is this just an example of
It's just stupidity.
dumbness? It says, for future reference, type facebook.com into your browser address bar or enter Facebook into Google.
Sounds like the zoo already.
Yeah. This is don't you think, a morning show? I'm telling you.
But this is
We
like...
just need some sound effects, and here I am.
Leo, this underlines this big pitched battle right now that's going on in the publishing business about let's optimize everything and let's get as high up in the engines. For example, people in the chat can do this now. Go to Google and type in the word cheapskate.
Okay.
The number one hit ought to be the CNET blog
The Cheapskate.
called The Cheapskate.
It is.
Now, the editor-in-chief of CNET showed me that late last week and said, this is amazing to us. Cheapskate is a word that is
It's an
commonly
English language
known,
word. There are 6 million hits for Cheapskate.
and it's a tech blog
Yeah.
that's number one. So there are very smart people all over the world that are trying to optimize publishing results and get them up. And you're going to see more of this
SEO,
confusion in
baby.
the
SEO.
So if I type TWiT into Google, the first result is, me.
Right, and TWiT is a...
But now
English
that was
word.
a good choice, though, because it's not a really common English word. Cheapskate's pretty impressive. So what are you saying, Sam, that is that good?
I'm saying that we will be like 3 or 4 times a year. You're always going to be able to talk about an example of a search result being skewed because a publisher had that number one spot.
Right.
This is
Right.
going to happen all the time because the professionals now are gaming the system and they're so good at it that confusion is just going to be part of the web experience, not for people that are tuned into this show, but for the bottom of the iceberg. There'll be some confusion.
So you're right. That's what happened with Read Write Web. Read Write Web came in very much higher than it ought to have for the search Facebook login because they are apparently good at SEO. Is it possible to be that good at SEO?
Yeah,
there's some amazing things.
Those guys are super technical.
Well, like what? What do you do?
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. He's already too big.
Because I haven't done diddly, and I'm still number one.
I know, Leo, but you could probably.
You know what I did?
Performance
you could be number 0.
It could be higher.
Yeah. You know what I did? I had a lot of people linked to me. That's all you do.
Yeah, that's true. It's
right? Isn't that what matters?
Yep.
Yeah, but also part of it is you have to link out. Leo, you also have to link out to popular people on a regular basis too. That's something. If you're not doing it, then that will advance your results.
Never will. By the way, he doesn't even answer his email.
No, wait a minute. Every single show we do is we have show notes that are rife with links to other media outlets,
and that's why you're so high. That's one of the basic things that
he's also
that
got
you
a
have.
high SEO rating besides being high.
But let me just say that and this actually is a great segue because on the radio show today, somebody called me and said, "I want my site to do better," and I said, "Well, whatever you do, don't hire an SEO guru." Is that wrong? I thought this was snake oil.
Well, there's some oil at the bottom of the tank, but there are some basic things that.
So what are the basic things?
All the published short headlines, and also the CNET editor said always take the name of the company and the product name right next to each other, juxtapose them, because that will give you a better result. And shorter headlines are better. Never write a 9-word headline when a 6-word headline will do. He didn't give me everything, but I'll give you. New York Times, Wall Street Journal all have training, not only at the copy desk and the headline writing desk, but also the reporters use words in their leads that are known to be attractive in a search result.
Link bait.
No, but this is
By the way, these things are movable. These are not these rules.
It's a moving target.
It's a moving target because Google is constantly fighting off anything they see.
Well, that's what I was going to say, isn't it? That Google's job is to not let you game the system.
Right.
The most important thing is good content.
WordStream.com, I think, is a free utility that allows you type in a word and it will give you the 10 most common searches on that term. Anybody can do this. If you're a blogger, you get a website of your own, you should look into that.
So I just searched for that was a search on the site. So enter a keyword and try it now. So I'm going to enter in tech news, right? Because I would like to show up high in tech news, right? That would be my SEO. That's not going to happen, says John. So, and then this shows
turn keywords into profits.
What am I getting here? That this graph. What is this? What is this telling me?
I don't know.
So enter one key. Oh, these are related phrases.
Jobs,
yes.
So then the related phrases should be phrases that I should use in story.
In your writing, in your writing or in your marketing copy.
It looks like bullcrap to me too.
This is bullcrap.
So in other words, when I write about tech news, I should make sure that jobs, group, company.
List keywords: John Dvorak,
jobs,
tractor, mower.
John, you think you would be getting so much more traction if you put the word tractor in every podcast.
It's got it in plural too. Tractors, mowers. Sorry. That's a classic.
Oh, here's a good one.
Backhoe.
If you just enter Dvorak, you get Korty, Novotny, Antonin,
Korty I can kind of
Orlov, and Smetana.
Yeah, this is nonsense.
What the hell?
No, you should be happy because after Dvorak and Dvorak Keyboard and Antonin Dvorak or Dvorak, you come in number 4.
I'm also Ubuntu John Dvorak and PC Magazine John Dvorak and No Agenda Adam Curry John Dvorak.
Oh, wow.
Well,
so you make an interesting point, Sam. So is this good for? It's good for media that can spend the energy to figure this out, but it's really kind of bad for users, isn't it? Because their results are skewed.
It is. In general, people in the publishing business are being accused of polluting the search results collectively. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever talked about demand media or what Saul Hansel is doing now at seed.com.
Saul left the New York Times. In fact, we've interviewed Saul many times. I thought he was a very good reporter. So where is he doing?
Well, he's doing content farming. In fact, for next month.
Oh, this is creepy what he's doing.
Yes.
What's
This is
content farming? Let's go.
I was just talking to somebody who's working for him, and it's reprehensible. It's not real content.
Come on, let's. Oh,
Yeah.
I got a story.
Well, let Sam tell us what content farming
go for
is.
it,
Tell us.
Content farming is the practice of paying people peanuts to write about service journalism, how to change a tire in the rain, how to.
Yeah, I have a friend who is, for instance, an auto journalist. She is a car reporter who does freelance. She's been hired to edit the car section, but they pay people like bloggers $5 to write an inane article that just has a lot of keywords in it.
Oh.
And links.
And then she does this curation thing where she puts these all together.
Well,
and now what are they selling? What is the are they putting ads on this? What happens? What is the?
Yeah, I think there are ads on them.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is that when people go to a search engine, they want to be able to get valuable content, not just 1 or 2 links, but 3 or 4 pages of valuable editorial content. And a lot of this quasi-advertorial slap chop sort of stuff is getting optimized so high up in the search results that it's hard to be able to pull down high-quality content. Not today, but tomorrow. There's a lot of concern that there'll be so much dreck in the search results, advertorial essentially, that it'll be a very unsatisfying process to search for content.
By the way, Jason should talk about this because his Mahalo practices.
It's all about SEO.
It's all about that. About this stuff. And
although he provides good content, he's not.
Well, if you really want to go back to the originals, I mean, About.com is the originator of this entire idea.
Yeah.
And then if you really want to take the idea further, Wikipedia, which is always ranked very highly, even though they don't do it for the purposes of advertising, essentially does the same thing. These are all just things that
But that's what Google says. They say you want to get hits, do good content. That's what you're saying. But the problem with these content farms is this business. I'm kind of disappointed in Saul for doing this. I guess he decided to go for the gold. Is that they're polluting content with the purpose of generating hits for advertising reasons. Now, I have to point out, this isn't the first time this happened. I mean, Google had a big problem just a few years ago where you'd search for something, you'd get all these link farms, right? And they fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed all that. I hated Parker sites.
Yeah.
But this is a middle ground, though. It's not quite that as reprehensible. But to Saul's credit, next month at South by Southwest, he has an objective to have every single session covered by one of his $20 reporters. So he's trying to mix sort of swarm reporting along with his dreck.
Now that's interesting. Is he really looking to put good content up, or is he looking to deflect criticism by having kind of something?
Don't know. You'd have to ask him. But the point is that I think what he's going to try to do is elevate the editorial quality within the content farm, which is to say he wants to be the tallest dwarf, or the least smelly skunk, or whatever metaphor you want. The fact is that we really have to collectively watch that the search experience could become much less satisfying than it was in the past decade.
Well, you know, it's bad for me, because if somebody's searching for a legitimate tech coverage and they find these sites are bubbling up above me, it's very bad for anybody.
But it's not happening.
Not yet, but I think that if
no.
But the battleground will not be on editorial reputation. It will be on how
SEO.
how deftly you can push your results to the top.
I believe that this is just something that's just another, one of these. The SEO business is a moving target, and that's why you don't see, big websites that reveal all the secrets, because once the secrets are revealed, that are trial and error secrets, then the Google just says, let's fix that, and that's the end of it.
Isn't it interesting, though, how the position Google is now in, that we've kind of given them, which is it's up to them to save us. That's a little scary, isn't it?
The number one provider of video to YouTube, take a guess what it is.
CBS,
number one
NBC?
provider.
I don't know.
See, you're thinking like a media guy. and I am too. But the number one provider of video to YouTube is Demand Media.
What is Demand Media?
Demand Media is the number one provider of this advertorially cheap factory-produced content. But they do have branded sites. They have eHow. Have you ever been to
Yeah, eHow's okay.
eHow's
They
really high
have
on
eHow.
most
They have
search results.
Livestrong. They have Livestrong. They're also going to come out with a branded site for gardening. These are John remembers the Bill Ziff Passion Verticals days, right? You'd come out with magazines that served photography.
But these are phony, right? They're not. This is the thing.
No,
I'm
really
passion.
phony.
I'm
They're
passion
not really
media.
phony, but
You're
they're
passion
just
media?
really insipid. There's common sense. There's no editorial horsepower behind it. It's service journalism.
All
It's
right.
like John said, go to about.com, that sort of thing. That's the model, only at scale.
Well, then maybe I'm just being a snob saying,
You are.
well, that's not real journalism.
Absolutely.
That's just some $20 blogger,
Yeah, $20 reporter.
$20
$20
reporter. And so that's just the people's media.
Well,
But it seems cynical to me. It seems like some wise guy said, "Yeah, the people's media.
that's the ticket."
There's some money in there."
You know what, Leo? There's one point, and we probably shouldn't spend a million hours on this, but there's one point I left out, and that is that before they assign these articles, these bots that search that Demand Media has, for example, and AOL has, these bots go out and search the entirety of content on the internet, and they look at what is undercovered. I'll give you an example. Harley Davidson belt buckles is a topic that very few people write about, but there's a lot of passion about it.
Sure there is.
And so the bot goes out and it tells us all, Hansel, hey, there's a supply and demand opportunity.
Right.
There's not enough supply to meet the demand for Harley Davidson belt buckles. Let's create content about Harley Davidson belt buckles, and then we'll sell AdWords off of it and AdSense.
I guess I have no problem with that if the content is good, real
My son
content
was
generated
writing some
by
of that stuff
enthusiasts.
for Mevio.
If it's generated by Mevio does this too.
No, my son was writing.
Mevio invented this. Let's face it.
Well,
I know you're a vice president of Mevio.
They
but
could have done if they invented it, they could have gotten a little more credit.
they should have done a better job.
New York Times.
No, but I think that's it's okay if they do it and they bring in enthusiasts. If you find some real Harley belt buckle wizards and they're really writing about Harley belt buckles,
kind of does. And
those are people who care. I have no problem with that.
I think over time, that Google will take care of this issue and it'll be something else.
Help us, Obi-Wan Ganooble.
So I'm on
Google.
ehow.com right now, and the top story is how to cope with Valentine's Day when you're single.
Yeah.
And there are 4 other stories called how to have a great
Sounds
Valentine's
like
Day
People magazine to
when
me.
you're single.
Only they pay
how
more.
to cope on Valentine's Day, how to cope with being single on Valentine's Day. And they're all separate articles.
Apparently, there's a lot of demand for that.
Yes, there is.
You know, it's funny because I actually have on my iGoogle, I have an eHow box.
Oh.
You've been duped.
I've been duped. I didn't realize that they. Maybe not. Maybe it goes to WikiHow. But I like that because let's see what's on my how-to of the day. 5 ways to enjoy being single.
I know. Look at this.
Get a few extra curtain hooks, make a bracelet, and how to make a biscuit joint.
Okay, now, Leo, that's not editorial, right? That's content, but it's a service journalism play. People care about these things.
Sure.
And they're getting great traffic. And the search results for that stuff are going all the way up to page 1.
Well, in that case, if it's genuine content, I don't care if it's a professional journalist, but if it's genuine content, I think this is the democratization of media, and it's a good thing. If it's a cynical attempt to get advertising dollars by putting bogus content up there, then I'm not crazy about it. But so, which is it? Do we know?
It's real content.
It's real content.
My son, when he was writing this stuff, he would tell me all these crazy things he researched and found out.
And he cared about it, and he wrote
says,
it well.
Yeah, did you know that deodorant's made with a combination? And you'll do a thing like deodorant, how the chemical analysis.
Well, in fact, this sounds like there's going to be jobs for young people.
Not at these prices. It's like
so. How much was he getting?
He was getting the same thing, $20 or whatever.
$20.
That's kind of sad.
That is
Well, he's an intern.
Wait a minute. Now let me ask the question, because when you started out in the newspaper,
by the way, you've never seen my son type.
He's
He does
fast.
About 100. He's just,
yeah. When you started out and you were a copy boy in the early days of newspapers,
yes, boss.
that's how you started out. You didn't go to J school. You started out, some guy, some curmudgeon invites you over and said, "Kid, I think you're ready. Write a headline. Right? Isn't that really how newspaper used to work?
Well, maybe it wasn't it wasn't the road to riches that I took.
Copy. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. There is another Google story. Google really, I love how I don't know if I love Google, but I love how they're thinking. We'll talk about this in just a second. You know who passed away just today? The great Dick Francis. Did you ever read any Dick Francis novels?
Oh yeah,
those horse
he's
ratings.
A fast read. He never believed in using adjectives, so you blew through the stories.
Yeah,
yeah, they were.
You're the one who taught me not to use adverbs, but he went even a little farther.
Yeah,
there was nothing was hot or cold. It was just Dick Francis passed away, but you can get so many great Dick Francis novels at Audible.com, and maybe in honor of Dick, we should mention a few of these great racing stories, high stakes, even money. Second Wind, Dead Heat, fast reads. This is kind of, sometimes people say, I'm a little afraid of getting into the audiobook thing because, it's going to be dull. It's going to be boring. I'm going to fall asleep. No, it could be anything you want it to be. I mean, there is nonfiction, there's history. I listen to a lot of great history, a lot of science and technology, but also great thrillers and novels of all kinds. And boy, something like Dick Francis is a great way to listen. And just these things come alive. You'll be sorry when your commute's over. If you're not yet an Audible subscriber, I can get you one free. In fact, I can get you two free. Go to audible.com/twit2, TWiT, and the number 2. That's the Audible Platinum account. It's 2 books a month. It's a subscription, and you can eat them like candy. I love it when I go to my Audible page and I see the 2 credits. Because that means 2 more books I can add to my library. By the way, when you buy an Audible book, you get to keep it for life. Your library is always available to you. It's like a real bookstore, a real bookshelf. These books download in just a matter of minutes. They play on most devices, including all the iPods, iPhones, Zindel and Zune and Kindle. Go to audible.com/twit2 and sign up today. And then when you've got your 2 free books, go to the Free for Members page, and you'll see a lot more that you can download absolutely free. Audible, a world of great listening awaits you at audible.com/twit2. We thank them so much for their support, and we invite you to give them a try. Audible.com.
I know you already did the GoToWebinar spot.
Yeah.
Just 10 seconds. I run media survey on GoToWebinar. It's fantastic.
Say go to meeting because if
go to meeting too, because we those are sort of like the ad hoc things, and you can have.
Oh, they have their own webinar. It's the same. It's Citrix though.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had to go to webinar. Oh, that's neat.
Oh,
how many people can you have in there?
Up to 1,000 for GoToWebinar.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all they paid for, but I'm a very happy customer of theirs.
If people wanted to do, if they're interested in your media stuff, they go to samwhitmore.com. Is that the place?
Yeah, I do have that aliased over to Media Survey. Our business is called Sam Whitmore's Media Survey.
And it's who are your customers?
There it is. About 2/3 are tech PR agencies, but we have CA, we have Teradata, Novell, we have some tech vendors too, and we analyze tech editorial. And in fact, as we were saying off camera, I did the iPad coverage analysis last month, and I liked
your conclusion.
Yeah, I had to conclude that TWiT TV just kicked everybody's ass, and I said so. And
thank you for the link. Yeah, it's really awesome.
You guys did a great job. Gadget did a really good job of live blogging.
Yeah. Well, they were smart because they didn't use Cover It Live. I came this close to using Cover It Live.
It crashed.
And everybody else, including Engadget, used Cover It Live, and it died, didn't it? Was CNET using Cover It Live?
No, we didn't.
Okay, but GDGT did not.
No.
And I know I saw Ryan in there. Ryan Block was typing away like crazy, and everybody else was just stymied.
Yeah. I think, wasn't Dwight
Silverman was using it from the Houston Chronicle?
He couldn't do it either.
Yeah, I felt bad.
That's too bad. By the way, we didn't talk enough about the Mac show, but I will mention that if you go to the Dvorak Uncensored YouTube videos, I just posted my random walk video walking through the show. So
what would be the URL for that?
YouTube?
No, Dvorak.org.
Oh, I didn't put it on the blog yet.
Oh, it's only on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's youtube.com/blog
is what you're getting.
Yeah, but it's youtube.com/Dvorak Uncensored?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know. So you don't necessarily always put it on the blog.
No. Well, I'll post.
There's more
later.
there on YouTube all the time.
There's a lot of stuff.
There's stuff, constant.
I got the tech hippie there on there. But here's
random walk through the last. So what do? You just take pictures?
I just take this little camera and walk around with it on video.
And we spent thousands and thousands of dollars and brought many.
Yeah, I use a buck and $1.50 device.
This is really the truth, though. Is that all these tools really allow you to cover stuff. I mean, did we learn anything from this? Is there audio on it?
Yeah, there's audio.
It's not you narrating it.
No, I'm just walking.
There's no
through
editorial.
I try to catch people when they're having conversation. I'll stop and eavesdrop.
So it's as if you were there.
Nice.
Yeah, this keeps people from having to go to the show. You can see what a miserable experience it is.
and the truth is, how many minutes is this? 7 minutes?
7 minutes, yeah.
You really saw everything.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
You didn't miss a
said
thing.
5, but I think it's 7 is
No,
what
it took me half an hour. I couldn't believe it. I went upstairs to Samovar tea room and had a cup of tea. It was like
And your iPhone, so that note's going to be with you wherever you go.
This is great. It is. It's exactly like going there.
Yeah.
It is Merlin.
It's Merlin doing his Omni Group thing.
Anything up to anything. This is terrific.
This is riveting television.
Yeah, well, it's just good. It's like the show. The show's not that riveting. You have
I
to
know.
produce
You can
stuff.
only be as good as the show you're covering, right?
The way it is, it's the only reason people think these things are interesting is because the show, the crew goes in, they shoot it, and then the
Right.
guy
They edit
goes
it.
and edits it, so it's exciting. When in fact, mine's more believable.
CES was very vital, though. I thought CES was a happening.
Yeah,
thing.
you really liked it going there because you were a big shot.
I was feted.
You had a whole crew of people down
And
there.
when I say feted, I don't mean FETID.
That's what it sounded like to me.
You were fit.
That's a homonym if I ever heard one, and not a felicitous one either. So Google made an interesting announcement, and I think in a way this is kind of they're throwing down the gauntlet. They said they are going to pick several municipalities in the U.S., towns ranging in size from 50 to 500,000, and they are going to become an internet service provider in those towns, offering, get ready for this, gigabit internet access using fiber. Now, the best you can get right now may be 50 megabits. So we're talking 20 times better than what the best you can get at any price. And Google's point is this can be done. The fiber exists.
Yeah, well, no, there's a bunch of dead fiber out there.
My new rallying cry is light the dark fiber.
I like the fist in the air. I think that's what really makes it work.
Light the dark fiber, baby. I could.
A rallying cry.
You think maybe we could
War
make
cry.
it a?
Light the dark fiber.
It could be a T-shirt.
Yeah, it would make a good T-shirt.
But in the .com boom, a lot of fiber was laid even before was laid under the ground and never used. We overbuilt the infrastructure, as often happens in these tech booms or booms of any kind. Remember the tulip boom? You remember that in Holland?
Oh yeah, back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laid the infrastructure for the bulb network.
Yeah, the bulb.
No, I think that's. I read somewhere. Maybe I shouldn't read, but I read somewhere that
Or listened.
maybe you told me that economic boom bust cycles did have a value because the boom created overbuilding, over optimistic overbuilding. That later, after the bust, the railroads are the classic example. The railroads, joined the country. All the railroad companies after that went bust. But we had the railroad and we had the telegraph.
Well, that's what what we're seeing today. That after if it wasn't for the .com bust, we wouldn't have all this great stuff that we use now. That's
Exactly.
there's a lot of really good .com companies out there now that make usable products.
Right.
I'm actually stunned.
And there's all this gigabit or faster fiber under the ground.
Yeah, sitting there waiting.
So Google says they're going to offer fiber to the home. I love this. I just love the phrase fiber to the home trials.
Yeah, but where?
At the astounding data speed of a gigabit a second. They'll sell this
Where,
service, they
yeah.
say, at a competitive price. Well, here's the deal.
And is this going to be Ethernet?
They'll have to. I think that's how. Isn't that how
I think
Verizon
so.
does it? They do fiber to the curb and then Ethernet in.
Yeah, something like that.
But you have gigabit Ethernet. I use gigabit. We use gigabit Ethernet here, and let me tell you about gigabit. It's almost hard drive speed. You feel like you can copy
it's
files
quite
very,
fast.
Yeah,
very
it's
quickly.
fast,
It's nice.
It will empower things like high def video. It'll be huge for what we do. It'll be huge for anybody who's using internet to deliver rich media. It's
But where?
Where and how much?
Okay.
I mean, this is just all talk.
No, it's not talk.
No, it's not talk.
It is talk. Where? Give me an
they
example. I want
said-
it now. I want it in my house. It's talk.
Sam, would you talk him down right now?
I read a story.
This is the company. Here, I'll tell you. The company is looking for communities to work with across the country and is taking online nominations from citizens and government officials until March 26th.
Yeah.
We are lobbying in Petaluma. I'm lobbering my friends who are on this. I'm slobbering. I'm slobbering on my friends.
I'm just practicing for the zoo.
Yeah, you're gonna be good. Can I give you a cowbell and you'll be set?
Ding, ding, ding.
This is a little zooey.
Honk.
It is a little zooey.
Been that way for a while.
If you go to google.com/appserve/fiberfi, Google
Oh God.
Google Fiber for the community. Here he is. Here's Mr. Google talking. It says, "Think big with Gig."
Hi, I'm James Kelly. I'm a product manager on Google's infrastructure team.
Hello.
Today, we're announcing our plans to build and test ultra-high-speed broadband networks in the United States.
He doesn't sound like he's from around
Plan
here.
to provide fiber-to-the-home service with speeds up to 1 gigabit per second for at least 50,000 and potentially up to 500,000.
Oh my God!
We saw that,
In
Leo.
selected locations will offer internet connections
He
up
didn't
to
hurt
100
himself.
times faster than many
fell off
Americans
my
have access
ball.
to today.
Embarrassing.
I was so
And at
excited.
competitive prices. We're doing this
I just
because we
couldn't
want
get to the
experiment
camera
with
fast
new ways
enough.
to
I
deliver
fell off.
better,
I'm
faster
just so
for everyone,
excited about this.
allowing applications that would be impossible.
It's like watching a train wreck in slow
We also
motion.
want to try out
It's not
new
like you
ways
just-
to
and
build
you'd
and
lucky you
operate
didn't hit the
fiber
glass, you
networks
would have
and
probably
share what
broke
we
it.
learn with the world. Finally, we're going to
Yeah, this is
operate
Zoo.
open access networks, meaning we'll share our network with other service providers, giving users more choice.
So I think
We
I'm
want
going to
to get
lobby
started.
our local.
Ball will be the death of Leo, says Eureka on the chat room.
If you're a state, county,
That's the first time I've actually rolled off the ball.
Yeah, it was quite funny.
I went down hard.
But it was
Are
weird
you
because
okay?
because it was in slow motion.
Yeah.
You didn't hit it that hard.
No. I was in control the whole time. So I personally would like to lobby our city council. I know a couple of members of our city council and say, look, you guys got to apply for this. What better way to get reelected, John, than to be the city councilman or the mayor who got Google to bring gigabit internet to your community?
In Petaluma?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all going to be going, what the heck is gigabit
Oh, come on.
here in Petaluma?
No. This is Telecom Valley.
Oh, yeah.
So you go there. There's a button to push. Easy for government officials. It's a big button.
Yeah,
And
that's
then you get involved, request for information for residents and community groups or for government response. I'm going to nominate my community. And I can imagine that Google's received a few, million people saying, yeah, I like gigabit. Why is Google doing this?
publicity, just what
They
I
want
said.
to own everything.
No. Wrong.
They
Sam?
have
Wrong.
this huge asset in YouTube.
Who has a huge what?
Asset in YouTube, and they can't. They see Netflix succeeding. They want to be in the video world what Google is to search results.
So you're
and
saying they're doing it for
limited.
YouTube?
Yeah, absolutely. They paid $1.6 billion, and they see what's going on in Korea. They see what's going on in Europe, and they can't wait for the United States telcos to provide the level of bandwidth that Google itself needs to monetize the YouTube asset, plus whatever else they're cooking. 3D, I mean, people go see Avatar. Eventually, we're going to be seeing that sort of thing in our homes.
Yeah.
Eventually.
And- but yeah, you'll see it on
2050.
You'll see it on Blu-ray, but the point is, let's see it on the internet.
What's is your google.com/what?
It's a really lousy
it's
URL.
fiber
Somebody ought to tell Google about this thing called SEO. For crying out loud.
It's google.com/appserve.
AppServe slash FIBERF.
No, there's 2 R's in there.
FIBERRFI.
Yes.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah, I'm telling
You
you.
just had google.com/a.
How about just like google.com/fiber or
That would be
gigabit
easier.
or
Get involved. Learn more about the fiber optic trial.
yeah. I think this is. I'll tell you. There's
Nominate
also
your
the
community.
merely the interpretation that Google is altruistic, and Google's already said, and I think this is true. We make money. The more you use the internet, more we make money. That's all. Simple. So we want you to use the internet more. How do we get you to use the internet more? More bandwidth. Make it more appealing. And I think it's very simple. They want to put the screws to internet service providers. In the United States, they're artificially maintaining scarcity. I've said this before. John and I have had this argument for a long time. They're overcharging. They're underperforming. And Google's saying basically, we got the fiber, light it up. That's my rallying cry. Light the dark frickin' fiber.
Is this
Costs money, Leo.
Is this related to the Google's efforts to like put Wi-Fi in some cities? Is this related at all to that effort?
I'll have to go back and look at the Google blog, but one Google executive said, and it wrote a very good piece, and he said, really, our business model is simple. The more users the internet, the more money we make. It's really simple. So if you look at Google through those eyes, everything they do makes sense. They just want you to use the internet more, right? Doesn't that make sense, Sam? Yeah, it's YouTube, but it's everything else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think that they have a political issue against the telcos. I mean, they decided to run them with the phone, and I think they're political enemies, and I don't think they want to tether their business trajectory, their multi-year revenue plan, and be beholden to telcos.
That's true as well.
It could also be a preemptive strike against the whole net neutrality, debate situation.
Very good point. Good point. I mean, nobody likes the telcos. Nobody likes the cable companies. Even Comcast, in an effort,
you got to fill out all this form to get your city nominated. It's ridiculous.
Well, if it were easy, everyone would do it.
Supporting material. It's bold. But this is crap.
John wants it, but he doesn't want to do anything for it.
No, I don't have any web link to supporting material.
Forget that. Just tweet.
I mean, tweet.
Hey, it worked for Kevin Smith. Just go online and tweet. Give me gigabit. Google.
I'm going to take a chance that they're not going to look at anything, and I'm going to send them to the FBI site.
That'll work. You're just screwing it for Oakland. Let me tell you right now. This is it. If Oakland doesn't get gigabit, you'll know why, John. Actually, I think Petaluma has a good shot at it because this is was the second area that Comcast did their at-home stuff. Did you notice Comcast renamed themselves, by the way?
What? They did?
Yeah.
To what?
To what, Leo?
What would you... No, this isn't a joke. He's looking at me like it's a joke. It should be a joke. Comcast is no longer Comcast. It's Xfinity.
What? That means they're no longer Comcastic.
They're Xfinitastic. Comcast admitted that they are so hated...
Oh, look at Sam's video.
There it is. Sam's got it. Speed, security, convenience. It's a new era of entertainment is about to begin. Get ready, boys and girls, for Xfinity.
Oh, please.
Oh, my gosh.
They're rebranding. Comcast. Is that the worst? And then here's right in the webpage. What is Xfinity?
Comcast. Yes, tell me.
It's Comcast. Remember Comcast? We're better than Comcast. We're the new Comcast.
No, why? Why did they change it?
I don't know if they're abandoning Comcast completely or if Xfinity is some sort of bizarre brand.
I think it's a brand. They got too many ads out there to all of a sudden change.
It's very confusing. But I think this is the new Xfinity is the new. I don't know. See, there's Fancast. That's the Comcast web.
What's I'm confused.
What's Xfinity? Well, let me click the link. What is Xfinity? When you click that link, Xfinity is a massive selection of TV and movies you can watch on TV, online, and on demand. Wait a minute, there's more. It's also lightning fast internet access. But there's more.
It's Hulu.
It's Hulu for Comcast.
It's Hulu, exactly. In fact, I'm a member of this. If you have a Comcast email address, you can watch some percent of the shows that come in over your coax over the web.
I love that.
This is the portal for that.
But they're also selling it for $80 a month, even if you're not a customer.
So what's Fancast? I'm confused now.
They're replacing Fancast with Xfinity. Okay. But Fancast was a limited on-demand system. This is basically, you get I Love Lucy and everything else. This is like your TV on the internet.
If you have a Comcast account, you get this free?
It's free if you have a Comcast account.
Ah, great. I like it.
You're not going to hear that often, folks. You just, enjoy it while you got it. All right. This has been so much fun. This is the Morning Zoo. I'm really enjoying it. Sam Whitmore is at Sam Whitmore on Twitter. He's also samwhitmore.com. And the Whitmore Media Services is something that everybody who subscribes or consumes tech content for business should know about.
That's right. And we give a 30-day free trial, too.
There you go. John C. Dvorak is at channeldvorak.com. He does a lot of stuff, but you can see it all there.
It's all consolidated.
Here, by the way, is an apology from Southwest Airlines. Should I do a dramatic reading?
Yes, please. Can you do it in German?
Yeah. It starts, not so silent, Bob. Well, this is a little weird.
What's weird about it?
I thought it was, okay, it says Christy Day. I thought maybe that was some religious holiday, but I guess that's her name. Many of you reached out to us via Twitter last night and today regarding a situation a customer, capital C, customer, twittered about that occurred on a Southwest flight. It is not our customary method of customer relations to be so public in how we work. First and foremost, Mr. Smith, we would like to echo our tweets and again offer our heartfelt apologies. We're sincerely sorry. As soon as we saw the first tweet from Mr. Smith, we contacted him personally to apologize for his experience and address his concerns on both Twitter and with a personal phone call. And so they explain what happened. He originally purchased 2 Southwest seats on a flight from Oakland to Burbank, as he's been known to do when traveling on Southwest, but he wanted to get on an earlier flight. He flew standby, and when he got on, there was only 1 seat. Apparently, Smith normally buys 2 seats. Our pilots are responsible for the safety and comfort of all customers on the aircraft, therefore made the determination that Mr. Smith needed more than 1 seat to complete his flight. Our employees explained why the decision was made, accommodated Mr. Smith on a later flight, and issued him a travel voucher for $100. That sounds reasonable.
Well, I don't know. Let's find out from Mr. Smith.
You've read about these situations before. Southwest instituted our customer of size policy more than 25 years ago. Requires customers that can't fit safely and comfortable in 1 seat to purchase it. That's reasonable. You don't want to be next to somebody who takes more than 1 seat if he's only got 1 seat.
Yeah, no, that's true, Bob, although I've seen it. But the what I've been convinced over the last few years that we should be charging people on any airline by the pound. I think a person that is 100 pounds should not pay as much as a person that's 250 pounds.
What if they're just tall?
Tall? No, it's a weight, because the planes are always... Japanese airlines the one that gave me this idea, because they said they're going to make people take a crap before the flight. It's a fact.
It would save us $1 million a year.
They figured it out, and so
it's a morning zoo. Oh
so as a matter of fact,
I'm sorry, they can't do that. What are they going to say? You go there, you have to. You can't do that. What are they going to monitor it?
You know, crappy.
Actually, wait a minute. They could do that, because isn't it true in Japan that they have toilets that say thank you when you?
Maybe they give you a ticket or receipt. I don't know.
I think they weigh it.
Whatever the case is, they could make you. They should if they just charge you by the pound, they wouldn't have to make you take a crap because you just pay more.
John C. Dvorak's available at channeldvorak.com. Nicole Lee covers cell phones for CNET. You can find her on cnet.com/dialed-in-podcast. Is that right?
You can also go to just dialedin.cnet.com.
Oh, that's probably better. Dialedin.cnet.com.
Yes.
So nice to see you. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for being here. And Gong Hei Fat Choi.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody who joined us today. You can watch live at live.twit.tv. We do this show at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time every Sunday. So you can watch the live, because really we do really about 8 hours, and then we edit it down to a mere hour and a half. So you're really missing a lot of the best stuff.
There's a lot of jokes in between.
There's a lot of jokes. People falling off balls. Just crap jokes.
Yeah, would have been a classic if you had the camera on yourself like you usually do.
That would be great.
I carefully, I was reaching for the switcher as I went back, and I couldn't quite.
You got to do it again if you're not careful.
Careful.
You can also watch us now on the iPhone using Safari. We've got live streaming on the iPhone. Go to twit.tv, actually live.twit.tv on the iPhone. And it just works. I know Android folks and BlackBerry and Palm people are saying, why not us? It has to do with, they have the technical capability, but for some reason the browsers don't know how to handle it. They just go, what am I supposed to do with this link? So it's something that they're going to have to help us with. But thanks to Ustream for making that possible. Anything else I want to say? Yes, go to twit.tv for all our shows. We've got a lot of good ones. Is there anything else I need to say? I guess I'll just say thanks for joining us. Another Twit is in the can.
Doing the twit. All right. Doing the twit, baby. Doing the twit. All right. Doing the twit, baby. Doing the twit. All right.